Hey everybody, welcome to another episode.
Mines of the Cob.
Cobs of the Corn Mines.
Mines of the Children of the Cob would make a great shitty movie.
And on today's show, we have an interview from we have an interview with the Alberta-based filmmakers of the hit smash Contamination. In a limited theater run right now. Really
So good.
Big things these guys are doing for Canadian film.
Check it out.
Roll it. I don't know, we were at the Yikes Film Festival here in Edmonton, Alberta. They had Contamination playing their screening. They came out to our booth. I'm pretty sure I was nerding out about tech with somebody at the time for like a good 20 minutes before I realized you guys were there.
Yep.
But no, it was a really great meeting. I didn't get to see much at Yikes, so we were just super glad to come out Sunday and really drink it in. And man, there's so much to get into. I'm really stoked to get into it. But I just like, it feels weird to say, but I'm like proud of Alberta and Canadian film again. You know what I mean? Like it's on its way up. You know, this gave me the hope. I mean, Genesis, man. Like pre-pro writing, where did you guys start, and what was the initial kind of seed that got you going?
What got me thinking about Contamination was we had just finished a film called Spin the Wheel, which was a totally different beast. It was a thriller, but it's like a dialogue-driven potboiler, primarily filmed in one location, small cast, small crew. Everything was really contained. You know, we filmed it during COVID, which had like all these other restrictions in place. You know, we had to mask up and all that crap. And so when we thought about what should we do next, in the meantime, I'd been doing a couple of little short films with a friend of mine called Martin Truscott, who was directing them, writing them. They were of a military nature, right? I was usually let's be honest, an over-the-hill kind of aging mercenary in most of his movies, and I was having a lot of fun. Like, the group that he had assembled around him was mostly like airsoft guys, you know, so a lot of people had their own equipment, but they knew the tactics, they knew how to move, they knew how to like handle weaponry in a way that looked believable and realistic on film, and I love that whole aesthetic. And I thought to myself, you know Martin, if you just strung all of your little short films together that I've been in, and you just like kept me the same character, which I kind of was, but I just had different names in all of them, I said you would have had a feature by now. And so it just got me thinking, well, why the hell don't I just write a feature, and then that can be our next thing, right? And I presented the idea to Dave and to Preston, and they loved it. But we knew we wanted to get Martin on board because his cinematography is just fantastic. And we also had Ryan Hoople, who was typically Martin's B-cam, or one of them. And we thought, okay, these two guys really know their stuff. They know how to shoot action. Let's bring them on board. Martin took a little bit of convincing, because I think he thought it was too ambitious of a project. He thought, like, what I presented him with, when I said this idea, I said, I've got an idea. It's kind of like Predator meets The Thing. And as a side note, it actually ended up being even bigger than what I first imagined. But we'll get there. We'll get there in a sec. So what happened was I thought, okay, I'm going to pitch this to you, to these guys, and see what they think. Martin took a little bit of convincing, but once he read the script, he was on board. Because I think he wasn't really sure about it until he read the script. And the script took me about 3 months to write, something like that. You know, I'm a pretty fast writer when I got my heart into it and sure. My mind set on it.
You're in the rhythm.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah. And everything just sort of fell in place really quickly. You know, I knew I wanted to have that 80s vibe, that sort of aesthetic of the team of sort of mismatched guys, but they still gel together really well. You know, you got the off-color jokes and the banter between them, because I love the little one-liners and all that stuff. I grew up with all that stuff, right?
Yes.
And the funny thing is, you know, like Martin's like a stickler for authenticity. So like when we first presented it and we were talking about costuming and stuff like that, he was like, well, you know, they should all dress like this, and he kind of had like one look in mind for all, and I said, no, you got it all wrong, man. This needs to be like Predator meets G.I. Joe. You know,
Yeah,
I wanted it to be like when you see these guys on screen, they could be, you know, big on the screen or this big on the screen, and you'll know exactly who is who, right? I didn't want to have that confusion of like, wait, which guy am I looking at? Which guy's running down the hall or fighting in the scene or whatever?
Everyone's got their own personalities and everything.
Exactly. And so I had a lot of fun crafting that with the guys and putting those personalities into them and just giving each person a unique look. And, you know, Dave and I, we've got a really great co-directing style in that we took inspiration from an old friend of mine. He's a dearly departed friend of ours called Kenneth Barr. He was a wonderful filmmaker here in Edmonton, passed away far too soon. But he sort of instilled us with this idea because we worked with him as actors, and he brought forth this idea that once you cast an actor, that role becomes the actor's. It is no longer yours as the writer or director. They now take ownership of it.
True.
And we really believe in that aesthetic because then we said to the guys, you know, like, bring your personality, what you think this character is like, to life. If that means, you know, certain flair or the way you have like your haircut or, you know, beard, no beard, whatever the hell it is you want to do, bring that. And like somebody like, say, for example, Serge, who plays Taj, he really took that to heart.
Absolutely.
You know, he would run stuff by us, but we're like, yeah, man, absolutely, lean into it. You know, it's like he wears like a string of pearls around his neck.
Yeah.
Zebra print stuff all.
Yeah.
And we were just like, yes, man, bring it.
So the more comfortable the actor is, the more chances they'll take, and if they feel safe, and that's one thing Neil and I really like to do for our cast, is make them feel safe to take chances and take risks. And you only get that if you have ownership of the character.
Yeah.
It's true, man, and to put that level of vulnerability out, like, and to have that, like, your director, like, everyone's on board with, hey, it's yours now, let's see what you do, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't ask for a better gig, really. I think as an actor, probably, that's got to be, like, yeah, that's what I want. Perfect. Like,
Well, Neil and I have acted it enough, so we know how that feels, so we're just passing that along.
Yeah, and like the worst thing is like when you get into a situation as an actor where you have zero freedom, right? It's almost like you're in a play, like a Shakespearean play, where you're like, it's really rigid. It's like, no, say the dialogue exactly like it's written, and the beats have to be like this, and you have to do this, and you have to say it exactly. And it's like, wow, you get to that point where you're like thinking to yourself, why the hell aren't you just doing this? Like, what did you even bring me in for, right?
It's funny. There was an interview with Liam Neeson about Schindler's List, and he was talking to Ray Fiennes. He was complaining, I guess, after the first couple of days of shooting, the scene where he's smoking the cigarette, because Spielberg is micro, like, no, hold it in this long. Okay, let it out this. You know what I mean? He's like, what am I doing here? I'm a fucking puppet here. What's going on?
It's a collaborative process, right?
Yeah,
like at the end of the day, and a part of that collaboration is trust. So you need to be able to trust each other as director and the actor. And the way you establish that trust is by saying, okay, you know the material, you know the character. If certain things are written in a way that it doesn't feel natural for you to say the dialogue, for example, just say it your own way, but keep the intent. And that was the thing that we would sort of, you know, push on the guys. And if anybody ever strayed too far from it one way or the other, it's like that's where the direction comes in. That's where like you sit down, you talk with them about like, you know, what are we trying to accomplish in the scene or with the character development or stuff like that. And then you do little course corrections. But I find it's a really great process. It might not be for every filmmaker, but it works well for us.
Yeah, I think honestly, yeah, everyone's got their own method, right? But I think that should be the standard.
Neil and I capitalize on certain things, like we'll be in a scene and somebody will say something a certain way or they'll enter frame a certain way, and Neil and I don't have every single detail pre-planned, but we notice things kind of on instinct, and we go, oh, this is a great choice. Let's play on this for a little bit here. And we always try to give each other enough in the schedule that if those magic moments come up, we're not stressed because we're 5 shots behind and we're an hour overtime. Let's take a minute here and play, because a lot had to come to be in order to get to that moment. So let's not squander it. Let's take advantage of it.
And there's nothing worse. Like, you can tell when an actor was forced to write a line that was poorly written and they're trying to spit it out. Like, you just can't, you know what I mean? You're like, just maybe let them say something a little bit different that fits.
How did you go about finding your cast?
We did a casting call. So most of the people in the cast were there from auditions. We've sort of embraced the sort of modern style of auditioning, which is where people do self-tapes and they send them in. Like they send us, their headshots and resumes, and then if we like their look, we'll send them sides and then have them read. We pretty much had everybody read. We gave everybody a chance, because we're big believers in the idea that just because somebody doesn't look like what we initially imagined, we still want to give them the chance, because we've learned from experience that people can surprise you in like the best possible ways. And it even happened on this film, one example would be Dr. Knight, Alexandra, she read for that part. That part was written for a much older character, so a lot of the actresses that read for that part were actually, I would say 50 plus, and here she is, fairly young still. I don't want to age her. I don't know how old she is, but much younger than that. It's just that the audition tape was so good that we were like, that's her, right? Like, we're like, okay, that's it. She's got the role, So it's moments like that. You have to be open, I feel like, in the casting process, and really let the actors bring it, because sometimes they'll surprise you in just the best possible way.
So I did a little bit of research. We'll touch briefly. So the major that you had, and I had read that you guys were actually the first in Canada to get a go-ahead for an active duty major to be in the role.
We had to go all the way up to the government, to the minister, to ask permission. It was crazy.
That's wild. Yeah, because he was an active captain in the Canadian Armed Forces at the time. Yeah. And so what happened was the chain of permission went from him to his commander to then the commander of the base. And then, I don't know, it just kept going up and up the chain, right? Until eventually it ended up on the Minister of Defense's desk. And that's who signed off. And so we actually got a letter, a signed letter from the Minister of Defense saying he's allowed to be in our film as an active service member, but then there were certain conditions. But one of the conditions was that he could not appear as a Canadian soldier. That was a condition. Like, he could be any other kind of soldier, but not a Canadian one.
Did they give a reason?
I don't really remember. I think the whole idea is that they don't want the Canadian Armed Forces to be portrayed in any kind of a negative light.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it just takes that off the table, right? Yeah. Even the chance of it. So if you notice in the film, Tom is the one with the biggest American flag on his chest. Just so there's absolutely no doubting what, where he's from and what kind of soldier he is.
Yeah. He's American. He can do whatever bad crap he's going to do now.
Except he totally kicks ass. And he's one of the best soldiers in it. And it would have made Canada proud.
I don't know about you guys, but I've seen some military movies where it's always usually American, and they've got great movies, but you see a lot where they've had military guys, and it just doesn't look, you're like, how? You had these supervisors, and you guys knocked it out of the park, man. The stuff that I saw, it's just like, oh, these guys took the time. They knew what they were doing. They've obviously got someone on the inside. You know what I mean? So like, before we move into the tactics part of it, we'd like to touch a little bit on the horror side of things. So there was some homages. We think that we saw. Now I ruined it because in my research I did read a couple. So obviously The Thing was at least some inspiration in there, and Predator, of course, like you said. I'm pretty sure there was a Point Break homage in there.
There absolutely was. Yes.
Nailed it.
Sometimes you just gotta shoot up in the air and go, ah.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about that one? We had a reviewer, and you could tell it was a younger guy who reviewed it, and he kind of criticized that scene because he didn't realize we were just having fun. He thought we were like doing that moment like totally serious, and he actually says, he goes, oh, and kind of like, and it's kind of disappointing they ripped off Hot Fuzz, and I'm just like, dude, they did not rip off Hot Fuzz.
I have no hope in the youth
And
of
all
today.
you gotta do is say you're absolutely right. You
Yeah.
ripped it off from Hot Fuzz, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, totally, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the big standout one for me, and I'm pretty sure there was a Game Over or two in there. I don't know if maybe that was some
No, I
aliens.
think it was Frosty, wasn't it? It was
There was Stay Frosty,
Yeah.
but I mean that's a saying too.
Yeah, that's the aliens. Yeah.
We want to throw in a couple of those little Easter eggs, right, from the movies that we love. Like,
Of course.
It's just fun.
For me, the one that really got me was when the army was getting chased by the zombies in the lab, and there was a lot of shooting and running and stuff. It felt very I don't know if I'm correct on this, but Resident Evil, like the movie. I don't know if you guys remember those points, just with the music and the running through the corridors and stuff like that. The music worked really well with that scene, but it just gave me a real Resident Evil feel, like the underground lab with the shooting and stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, they are shooting infected dudes too.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
so
that's
maybe I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I got a real vibe from that.
You know what? It wasn't on purpose, but I mean, that is one of the movies that we love. Like, you know, there's so many films that were somehow inspiring in this. Like, you know, I'll name like usually like Day of the Dead. I love Dog Soldiers, Aliens for sure. You know, Resident Evil, absolutely. Like, especially the first one. Even the second one to a point, right? Yeah, like all of these sort of military bent horror movies. That's kind of what really, you know, influenced it a lot. But as far as like the score, that's David's genius. I mean, he's the musician here, and man, he brought his A game. You know, we would go back and forth a lot over what works where, and you know, we push Dave to his creative limits sometimes, but man, he delivered.
I have never been so inspired. Once we got the material, and I mean, I was obviously there. I knew what we were shooting, but once I got the material and I got in the studio, it was pure emotion, and I was reacting to the gold that we had. So the score is indicative of how good everyone did.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can feel it, man. Were there specific inspirations that you were going off of when you started, or was it basically just like blank slate? Let's do it as we go.
A lot of it I do live. I'm watching a sequence and I'm playing with it. I've got a huge production synth in the studio. I've got guitars, drums, all kinds of stuff. If the moment is giving me energy, I'll probably grab the guitar, get a good rock sound, get a good beat down. If the moment is giving me something foreboding, I'll find some really dark tones in the synth and I'll let it kind of sweep me away. And then more cerebrally, I will go, okay, where is the audience going to start to feel something here? Because the worst thing you can do is tell the audience what to feel. I need to time out. They're going to have this feeling. I need to kind of come in, kind of sneak in under them and support that feeling and then deepen it and make it scarier so that they, in part, take themselves there.
We first started talking about what kind of sound we should have. We did listen to a lot of Hans Zimmer. We did listen to a lot, like the Alien soundtrack, Terminator soundtrack.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, a lot like Escape from New York, in particular. Like, you know, these are like such phenomenal movies, and the soundtracks are absolutely epic. You know, I joke, one of the things and Dave can attest to this. Dave, what's the one sound I wanted, and I kept telling you to put it in? It's not cowbell, but the anvil. The anvil. I was like, I'm a stickler for that anvil sound.
We kept joking. It's like the joke, more cowbell, more anvil. Yes, I had to blend it. So, I mean, Preston did the final sound mix, and he did such an incredible job. But with the score, I was
and Keegan as well. Remember?
What's that?
And Keegan as well. So there were really three people.
Keegan did a huge build for us with a lot, like car doors, jet sound, like all of that stuff in his library he built. And then the score was done. Keegan was working. We were all working in the cloud. We were all doing our thing. But as it started to come together, on the score side with the sound, I had to start blending things so they weren't getting in each other's way. And sometimes there was a sound effect that didn't need score, but in other times there was a void where I needed to bring something in to keep the energy going. It was a real collaboration, and everybody worked so well together.
I mean, yeah, and it's evident on screen. Like, everything just came together so well. And just to think of, like, I heard 10 terabytes worth of data. That's insane. The amount of work, the amount of people to collaborate on all of that, and you know, like you said, in the cloud, everyone making sure they're on the right schedules. Just kudos to you guys and the whole team. Like, you guys just knocked it way out of the park, and I think it's evident with how the movie.
The average film, including our previous one, has an indie film, maybe 20, 30 if you're pushing at 50. We had 130 tracks of sound. So
I'm not surprised at the end of the day, because the sound is so full and so just on point. And then when you have the effects, and I heard you guys were going for that heat feel, but before you ever said that, though, you could feel it. It's like, I feel like that's probably where they're going with this, man, because it sounds really fucking good. So that was one of the things that drew me over when I had a chance to watch, because I kept hearing. I'm like, man, that fucking sounds good. I gotta go check it out.
I'll tell you quickly, and a shout out to Preston. He spent days on that shootout scene where they're coming out of the bush. Yeah. That is days and days of work.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Every gun has its own individual sound. It's not like we just did copy and paste. Yeah. It was like actually researching and digging out, what does this model of an AK sound like? What does this specific model of an M4 with a suppressor sound like? And so on, right? And just like the characters themselves, we wanted the guns to be unique as well. So each gun looks different, each gun sounds different, right? Yeah.
Shooters have their own personalities, so they have their own gear and guns, right?
That's right. Exactly. And speaking of that heat aesthetic, right? Like, we've all shot guns before in real life, and it's like, if somebody hasn't heard that and all they have is Hollywood to go by, it's so much softer in Hollywood, right? In movies, and we wanted that almost that sense of like, no, when these things go off, they're loud as hell, right? Yes. And you can feel them. It's not just the fact that you hear them, but you feel
that
them.
That concussive blow, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so we wanted to just impart a little taste of that for the audience.
A couple more things on sound, because I know you guys probably want to ask us more questions, which is great. Other than Keegan adding a lot of extra sound and some Foley, and he's got a huge library. One of the fun things for me I wanted to mention was my son Marcus, who did Foley on our last film, Spin the Wheel. Him and I went out for a couple of days and had just a blast getting footsteps on the grass and the water, all these tiny little things, a belt sound, clip, anything that was needed extra. Him and I went out and had a great time, and I got to tell you, I'm a pretty proud dad to see his name in the credits. So.
Oh, dude, I can only imagine. That's like ultimate proud moment, man. Just, man, it's so incredible to hear that level of detail put in, and like I said, I've said it a million times. It's just so evident on screen. Like, you can see it, and like I've said to you, Neil, before, love is in the details. Cool effects.
Yeah.
So I definitely there's two for sure in my head I want to touch on because holy crap, man, they look so good. So the arm, the doctor's arm in the machine, and also the guy getting his face smashed in the hazmat suit. You guys can pick the order, whatever, but I want to know who's responsible for the effects. How did it go? How long did it take to shoot? All that good stuff.
I'll talk about the face rearranging. That was a dummy brought in by Hugh and Therese, and they're huge haunters. They built Rutherford Manor. They did such a good job with effects. They're part of our inner family now. They do so many things for us, and they kept coming to Neil and I. Do we need more blood? Do we need it to look more gruesome? And every time Neil and I were like, "Yep, oh yeah, keep going."
Always yes.
And then when Jamie came in, I believe it was Hugh that gave her that prop, and I think we kept adding to it, didn't we, Neil? Just the detail and the blood and the angle and the lighting and just
we just kept splattering more blood because it was like one of those things. Like if you're gonna do this in real life, there's gonna be blood everywhere, right?
Exactly.
And one of just on that topic, it's like you'll notice sometimes in the movie we opt for like CG blood in like the bullet hits and stuff like that. A lot of times that was dictated by the location that we were in, right? So we had the freedom to use practical, to use like stage blood. We always went for that, but it wasn't always available to us because we'd be in like, for example, like at the U of A, right? And we were in a very tight frame. We only had so much time to work with, and we really didn't have time to be cleaning up copious amounts of fake blood. So we just said, okay, you know what? Let's just go with CG blood instead for those moments. But going to Alex and when she's trapped inside the machine there, that was kind of a combination of thinking on the fly and the script and the location. So what happened was in the script, I had written that her arm was caught in a piece of equipment, but I'll be honest, we didn't really know what that equipment would be. And then when we secured our location, which was API Labs, which is an actual biomedical facility, we got this laboratory to use, which had this fantastic piece of equipment that's in the movie, which has a shield that comes down, and it's for they put samples in it and do something. I don't even know what the hell the machine's actually.
Like a little quarantine box.
They zap it like Transformers and it comes alive.
So as soon as I saw it, I thought, why don't we have it that it's crushed her arm, like the hood came down on her arm and it's crushed it. And so of course we got Hugh and Therese in there, and it's like, yep, more blood. Let's look at like her arm is absolutely pulverized in this thing, and they did a great job. Yeah.
I'll never say no to more gore. That's one of his sayings that I kind of stole from him, but always. But the thing that impressed me the most, man, and especially something you don't see, not to knock indie film in Canada, definitely not, but you just don't see that level of detail all the time. I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm sheltered, but when I saw it, it definitely stuck out to me just because the use of the lighting, the use of the sound, the effects, the way it was shot, it was just done so well. And you can tell you guys, you're fans, you know what I mean, first. And the way it was set up, it's just, yeah.
Guys, because this is something I was asking everybody all weekend long is, what was your favorite moment? Without maybe giving away spoilers, but...
Probably twofold for me. I'd have to say the scene, so for the effects would be the hazmat's face smash, the face fuck. And then
one way to put it. Yeah.
Any of the gunfights, because like I said to you earlier, Neil, I'm just a tactics nerd. No, I don't know a bunch of crap. I'm just a nerd. And that just drew me in because it takes you out of it when you kind of know a bit of stuff and you see guys like pistol grips all messed up, or like I saw C-clamps on carbine barrels and just no chicken wings out here, and like nailed it. So those were definitely my favorites, but I think just knowing you now, my favorite scene is I saw that tear in your eye. I think that's got to be the one for me, man. That was a heavy, dramatic scene that was done really well. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't. I think it was just. Mwah.
Yeah.
Two scenes, like the gunfight in the mill outside. I really enjoyed that whole sequence. Like I say, it was just very well done. And it was just, I just love the scenery behind it too. You know what I mean? Like I hate to keep bringing up like Resident Evil, but that whole kind of movie, the movie that you guys made just had that whole feel of even like the video games.
Yeah.
You start off in this one spot, you know, you start outside, you go deeper and deeper and down, and then you come back out the other end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that scene. And then once again, like when all the zombies started chasing all the military guys down in the labs. I love the colors of everything. I loved the music.
Sledgehammer dude.
Yeah, Sledgehammer dude. I
Sorry,
really liked him.
I say that.
I wish I could have seen more of him, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, because he was pretty badass.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
man.
Sledgehammer guy was great. And yeah, I loved the music. I loved the music. The pace of the music was perfect with that scene. So I'd say those are my two favorites. So
Yeah, we're not very good at picking one favorite. Like
No,
if you watch our
we're
first
horrible at
episode,
it.
we have a top 5.
Speaking of Sledgehammer guy, that's Jared. Jared Busmakers. He's actually a trained MMA fighter. You know,
Nice.
I think he fought professionally actually for a while.
Right.
He's a trainer now, but yeah, he was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic. You know, just a sweetheart of a guy in real life.
Oh yeah.
Man, he can look menacing
Oh,
as
yeah.
hell
Oh, yeah.
on film.
Absolutely.
And we just leaned into that as much as we could, and he had so much fun with it too. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like that's the image that's like one of the images of the movie that's become really almost iconic in and of itself is that picture of him screaming. It's like that picture's everywhere now. You know,
Yeah.
as soon as when we saw that picture in the Edmonton Journal, we were all just like, yeah,
That's awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, that was the first picture I saw. Was that?
Put our older son Nathan in, and that's the guy he kills, and that's Nathan wants to die in every one of our movies now. So
What an honor.
Yeah, I'd love to die in a horror movie one day.
I will
but-
die again and
Yeah,
again.
no,
I
that'd
don't
be
care,
sick.
man.
We're gonna hold you guys to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold you guys to that because
100%, man.
we've got something in mind for the next one that could be pretty badass.
pretty epic.
I would say that if you do Contamination 2, that you should bring back Sledgehammer guy. You know,
Yeah.
2 sledgehammers or
Two
something like that. You know, that'd be-
Double fisting sledgehammers. So, speaking of sequel, let's talk. Is there any talk of writing or production or what?
We've talked about
You know,
it.
we have talked about it, and I do have some ideas already in mind. It's all going to depend on how well it does. You know,
Yeah.
like right now, it's off to a great start. We
Absolutely.
with this,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things like we just want to see how far this goes, and we're hoping that the interest is high enough, and then yeah, why the hell not? You know, if people want to see it, I'm happy to make it. Dave's happy to make it.
I'm
Preston's
fucking there, man.
Did I read online that your guys' movie at the Landmark Cinema did better than all the other movies that were playing while it was in theaters?
Theaters.
So you guys beat out Predator.
We did. Yeah. We looked at. It's funny, man.
I know it's not a competition, but like, that's pretty cool.
We're curious ourselves, you know, and we first of all, we found out the tally from the theater, and it was like, holy crap, that's actually better than we thought. And then secondly, it was like we looked at the per screen averages for the box office weekend, right? In terms of North America. And what happens is when you go to like Box Office Mojo, they break it down like the total money made, but then they have the number of screens, and then they do an average per screen, right?
Yeah.
And because we played on one screen, our average per screen actually beat out the top 3 films
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Dude.
by a lot. So that was, and the crazy thing is, like, you know, we're like thinking to ourselves, and these guys are playing on like 3,500 to 4,000 theaters, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Imagine what would happen if Contamination played on that many theaters. Now, I'm not, you know, so arrogant as to say, oh yeah, we beat those guys. but we'd at least put a pretty good dent in it, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd say so.
Man, I know you said that getting the major captain at the time was a feather in your hat. That's also another feather, absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
Well, a shout out to the audience. A shout out to everyone who came out multiple times.
Yeah.
They came back the next day. They brought family. They brought friends. I mean, those theaters were packed, and I think not only did it surprise us, and we were extremely happy and humbled, but the Landmark staff were like, "Holy cow!" Because the lobby was packed.
You guys can come back anytime. Fuck.
Yeah, I used to live right by, like, I lived downtown at that theater, and I'd go there all the time to see movies, and I have actually, in my whole time, I have not seen that theater so busy. I don't, like, the amount of times I go there and I go, how do these guys stay open?
I don't see
But
any
then-
theater that busy.
No, like, and then to see that, I was gobsmacked. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So, yeah.
They're just so stoked for you guys, man.
Yeah, it was amazing. So, yeah, very cool. I was going to ask, how hard... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say really quickly, you know, it just goes back full circle to what you guys started talking about, which is to say, give the audience fun movies again. You know, bring back that sense of fun. Because I think too many films these days, you leave them feeling worse than you did going into them, right?
Yeah, right.
Like so many
Feel
films,
guilty.
you feel like crap. You're just like, oh God, I feel so depressed all of a sudden. And it's like, we didn't want that. We wanted people to come out of there going like, holy shit, that was fun. You know, it might not end the way I think it would, and maybe my favorite character didn't make it or whatever, but damn, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Right? And that's it. That's what's important.
That was exactly it, and those were my exact words as we were going home. That was a good fucking time. Like,
Yeah, it was fun,
mission
you know?
accomplished, boys. All around.
It's like people I work with, and we'll talk, like, we'll all see the same movie, and I'm talking to a bunch of fucking critics sometimes. Like, I love them to death, don't get me wrong, but the psychoanalyzing and the this and the that, and I'm sitting there being like, I enjoyed it. Like, I just had a good time watching it. Or, yeah, I don't know.
I'll say I have an overly analytical type mind, and I'm always looking, and I think that's why I'm also so impressed, is because I see a lot of the little things, and it's just like... Yeah, I think that's the big reason why I'm impressed, because it sucked me in, not off, in, calm down, and yeah, it just didn't stop, and just the more meeting you guys, the team, and seeing everything behind it, it's been
It was a very
great,
cool
man.
experience, to go from like meeting you at just on a whim at Yikes, and then actually going to see the movie and see the production. And I was like, wow, that was really fun to watch. And then just to hear all the other stories of what might come in the future. And actually, for Neil, I was told by Ricky, who was your old makeup artist for Rutherford House, to say that she says hi. Because I currently work with her at my tattoo shop, so.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
right
cool.
on. Well, hi back.
Small world.
Absolutely. So,
Hi, Rick. Is there something you guys are working on other than Contamination? Maybe like what's your next project you got coming up? Anything you guys want to shout out? Or
It's a really good question, and we get asked that a lot. We're lucky, the three of us, because we have a lot of IP. It's not like we're scrounging or trying to, scratch our heads and figure out what we'd like to do. Neil's been writing constantly. I've got a whole bunch of scripts ready to go. Preston's got practically a TV series if he wants to get that off the ground, and if we can do anything with that, we would absolutely love to. So there's no shortage. It's basically, like Neil said, let's see what this does, and then we'll go from there, because it's momentum. And let's be honest, it's a business, so it's also an investment. Are the investors going to want to invest in a second one, or are they going to want to play it safe and do something small like spin the wheel? We don't know yet. So
yeah, for sure. And I guess that would be the other reason why you want to let it play out like you are as well, because if you're getting such a good reception, that's just more ammo in the bank, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
For sure. I think either way, we want it to be something genre. So either action, horror, or combination of both, ideally, right? We love playing in this sandbox, and we don't really want to leave it right now.
For sure.
So it's like, what else can we do?
That's awesome, man. Well, we definitely are looking forward to whatever you guys are going to put out. I'm excited with the way horror is going, man. It felt like we were in a slump. Things are really good now. There's a lot of really good horror and genre coming out. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for the future of Alberta film and what you guys are bringing to the table at Brimstone Pictures. And, man, we can't fucking wait for the future.
You can kill me, but you need a lot of practical effects for mine. That's all I ask. I want lots of practical effects.
I think a month on set with you guys would be great. I can tell right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, it would be one of the funnest experiences I think I would ever have. Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
So that was the interview that we did with Neil and Dave from Contamination. And yeah,
Great guys.
Gotta say, that was a fun movie to watch. It was a great experience seeing it at a big movie theater downtown Edmonton. And yeah, what a great guys. Hopefully we get to work with them someday in the future on something. And maybe, who knows?
Maybe we'll have some horrific deaths in the future.
Yeah.
Neil, David, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for showing up for us and being patient through my amateur shenanigans.
It's our first time.
And if you get a chance, show up, man. Go to the theater, check it out, and support Canadian film.
Absolutely. Stay cool, everybody.
Poopsicles. For all.
New York boobs and poopsicles.
That's some good New York boobs.
How you doing?
Hey, oh. Hey.